Greetings, salutations, respect and love. Welcome to the Prog Corner, and welcome to part 4 of your favorite prog albums of all time. I took all your nominations, I collated them, I ranked them, and today we are doing the 25 very best prog albums of all time, according to you guys. Yeah, these 25 were picked because there were multiple nominations for them. So I actually kind of did 2 rankings, didn't I? The ones that got 1 nomination and then these that got multiple nominations. I'm considering this the top 25. A little bit of bookkeeping on the front end. I did have a late nomination for an album that we had already talked about, and that was Cardiac Sing to God. Thank you so much for that late suggestion from Frank Camiola. And then I also wanted to give Manfred Stock a little shout out. I did not mention him. He was the one that nominated the Yes album, which came in at number 30. But we are going to do the top 25, and I'm going to give you guys credit for them. And I'm going to start with Patrick Moraz, The Story of I. I am shocked this one is here. Thank you, David Bagnall and Mark Berg, for the suggestion. This was one of the 5 albums that the members of Yes put out in between Relayer and Going for the One. This one was really weird. It had a lot of Brazilian musicians and stuff. When it first came out as a little kid, I didn't really understand it. But over the years, I have gained a great appreciation for this album. It's really, really great. At number 24, the only entry from IQ, Subterranea, from Alex and Thomas Riebsomer. Thank you so much. This was a concept album. This was a double album. This was the second album after Peter Nichols came back to the band. He rejoined for the album Ever. And then 5 years later, this one came out. IQ seems to be in a 5-year plan. It's like every 5 years they drop an album. It drives me crazy. I wish they would do more, but their quality is always so high that I don't mind too much. At number 23, we're staying with the neo-prog thing. This comes from Matthias Padzur and Chris Householder. Chris, I know you tried to sneak in a couple of entries. I'm holding your feet to the fire on this one, and we are talking about Marillion Marbles, my favorite album from Marillion. I love this thing. Marillion is a band that over the years I've gained more and more appreciation for, and Marbles is a big reason why. I just love it. It's just fantastic. At number 22, we did not make allowances for EPs or live albums, so Market Square Heroes came in. That was the one EP. Well, I had a couple of people nominate Yes songs. Ken Jones and Karsten Selberg, thank you so much. Yes songs, one of the most important live albums of all time. The triple album with all that great Roger Dean artwork. Yeah, the production's not great, but it's a live album, so what do you want? At number 21, UK Danger Money, as recommended by Harold's Prog Show, a great channel you should go check out, and Marco Tron, both nominated the second UK album. This was the one where Alan Holdsworth and Bill Bruford took off, and they added Terry Bozzio, so they went on as a 3-piece. This one's great. It sounds more Emerson, Lake and Palmer, whereas the first one maybe sounded more King Crimson. I don't know. I love UK. Both albums are great. At number 20, courtesy of Chuck Rock and Robert Somerville, we're talking about 1977's Going for the One. What an amazing way for Yes to come back together after those solo albums and bring Wakeman back into the fold. As a kid, I was so excited when this album came out. I'd been waiting so long because I became a Yes fan right after Relayer. So I was waiting forever for a new Yes album, and Going for the One did not disappoint. At number 19, courtesy of North Carolina vinyl pickers and Jacob Roberge. We're talking about Steven Wilson, the raven that refused to sing in other stories. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite Steven Wilson record. I prefer it over Hand Cannot Erase. I prefer it over any Porcupine Tree album. It's just incredible. It's his Prog masterpiece. It's just deep, deep, deep into classic prog. The thing that Steven Wilson says he hates that retro prog, but he went ahead and did a retro prog album. Go figure. At number 18. Gentle Giant Octopus, courtesy Toru Okada and Jacob's Prog World. Their fourth album, their last one with older brother Phil in the band. After he left, the band kind of went on and reconfigured their sound a little bit. But the beginning of that transformation was Octopus. It's definitely a transitory album. It points to bigger and better things in their future, but it still has that weird eclectic feel of the first three albums, and it's got that great Roger Dean artwork. Why in the world the record label here in the US wanted to go with the other record cover is beyond me. Makes no sense. Yes was huge in the US, so why wouldn't you use a Roger Dean cover? It's really kind of silly. At number 17, Caravan, In the Land of the Gray and Pink. Thank you, Todd Hill and Drew Bjork, for that suggestion. Caravan's masterpiece, 9 Feet Underground, Golf Girl. You know, those two songs alone, you see the two sides of Caravan, their sparkling musicianship, their wry humor, just an amazing album. And that album cover is just incredible. At number 16, 2112 from you did it to me, bro. Chris Householder again. Oh, boy. And Johnny Boy. Johnny Boy was actually the very first person to nominate an album. It was 2112, their fourth album from 1976. It's just incredible. This was the album that I became aware of Rush with. I had a little friend in school, and he used to bring albums to school, and one day he brought 2112, and I borrowed it from him. That fool never got it back. At number 15, from Anthony Ferrero and Sammy Blue Girl. If your name is Sammy Blue Girl, you better be recommending A Trick of the Tail. And that's exactly what we're doing here. The first record with Phil Collins as the lead vocalist. I really, really like four-man Genesis a lot. The spirit of progressive rock was still alive and well with both Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering. You hardly missed Gabriel at all. It actually gave some of the other guys a little more breathing room. Hackett especially on this album. But I love A Trick of the Tail. I rank it up there with all the greats. Just amazing. At number 14, Bump Dunlap and Felton McIntyre wanted me to talk about Hemispheres, and I will be delighted to do so. What a great, great album. Following up on Cygnus X1 Part 1 from A Farewell to Kings. They come up with a sidelong masterpiece, but side 2 is every bit as good. The Trees, Circumstances, La Via Strangiato, my favorite instrumental track from Rush. Yeah, YYZ is great too, but yeah, unbelievable. I love 2112. Such a great album. We're talking about Hemispheres. I'm looking at my sheet and I said the wrong thing. At number 13, somebody asked, where's Tarkus? Well, here it is from Zachary Benjamin and Brian Morrison. No, actually, they were the ones that recommended Hemispheres, and it was Bump Dunlap and Felton McIntyre that recommended Tarkus. I'm getting all my stuff mixed up here, but we're talking about Tarkus, the second album from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the one where they decided, yeah, Lucky Man's a hit and everything, but we're a progressive rock band and we're going to lean into that. We're going to double down on that, and that's exactly what they did. The side 1 Tarkus suite is just amazing. People do rag on side 2 a little bit. I disagree. I think side 2 is every bit as good. Well, maybe not every bit as good, but it's really, really good. At number 12, courtesy of Major from Square the Circle, and Larry Graves, the great Canadian stud muffin. Boy, oh boy, people, if you're not following the Canadian stud muffin, do yourself a favor. Check out his channel. He's great. And both of these guys picked Relayer. I can't say anything negative about Relayer. Gates of Delirium, one of the greatest epic tracks of all time. Sound Chaser's just nuts. And To Be Over might be the most underrated track in Yes's discography. I'm a big fan, as you guys know. At number 11, we're going with Animals from Pink Floyd, Cam Medina, Eat My Steel, and Drew Blues. All recommended that. It's either Wish You Were Here or Animals for me. It's a toss-up. I love both of those albums so much. Nobody recommended Wish You Were Here, which is just odd to me. At number 10, we're doing King Crimson Red, and this comes courtesy of the Friendly Neighborhood Retard, J. Thomas 55, and Nikoch Kobarn. I think he's my Bulgarian friend, but great suggestion. Red is amazing. The last King Crimson album before before Robert Fripp put the whole Casey thing into mothballs until later on in the 80s. But what a way to go out. They were slimmed down to a 3-piece at this point, but the heavy edge to be found on this record is so great. I love Red so much. At number 9, Death by Unicorn, Adam Janetta, and DFC. Want me to talk about Moving Pictures? It's not my favorite Rush album, but we're doing it this way based on the number of people that recommended. So I'm weighing it a little bit. More people recommended Moving Pictures than Hemisphere, so I'm going with it. I really dig Hemispheres a lot. It was the last album that they put out in that very, very important second cycle where it seemed like every 4 albums was like a new era for Rush, and Moving Pictures was just phenomenal. I love it. Tom Sawyer, YYZ, Limelight, Red Barchetta, Vital Signs. I love it all. At number 8, Aladar, Charlie Richards, and John Tremmel have recommended the first Prog album of all time, and that's In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. You guys know it's not my favorite King Crimson album. I prefer the John Wetton era, but I do love the debut. It's a masterpiece. It's amazing. So many bands wanted to be just like King Crimson after looking at that album cover and listening to 21st Century Schizoid, man. It's just, it's a classic for a reason. At number 7, Nigel Brick, Jay Crichton, Mark Maxwell, Prog Drummer 1969, and Lemming 998 have recommended Pawn Hearts by Vandergraft Generator. And yeah, any album with Plague of Lighthouse Keepers and a guest appearance from Robert Fripp is probably going to be all right with me. I love Pawn Hearts. I came really late to Vandergraft Generator. I had never heard of them growing up, so I didn't even encounter them until later on, like late 80s, early 90s. I started hearing about this band that had this long song called Plague of Lighthouse Keepers, and I just had to check them out. They were unlike anything I'd ever heard before, and that's why I love them. At number 6, the biggest selling album in the history of Prog, Tony Simmons, nickname Nando. Oh, Nando, you put a comment on the other day saying I had the best hair on the internet. You're all right, man. Richard Peliquin and Pink Floyd fan have all recommended Dark Side of the Moon. Not a whole lot needs to be said about this album. It's a masterpiece for a reason. It is pretty much perfect. I just happen to prefer the 2 that came out before it, or after it rather, but I'm basing this on you guys as much as on me, and more people recommended Dark Side than any other Pink Floyd album, therefore it is up there. Number 5, a long list of people recommended this one: Enrique Garcia, Il Manuel, Francois Berube, MDJ 2929, Neil Bridgens, Anthony Blackmore, all of you fools wanted me to talk about Selling England by the Pound. Most people's favorite Genesis album. It's the one that really brought them into the modern era. Nursery Crime and Foxtrot kind of had that old sound, that old production sound. Selling England, clearly the band had figured some things out sonically. They were always great live, but their records never really reproduced what they were capable of until Selling England by the Pound. You know, a lot of people hate the Battle of Epping Forest. I love it. I think it's amazing. I love the whole album. Cinema Show. Yeah, you know the album. At number 4, let's stay with Genesis and Foxtrot, Locust Boy, BB Chronicles, The Four Seasons, Keith Jones, Robert Harvey, and Bry Camel. All wanted Foxtrot to be represented here. I love it. It's my second favorite Genesis album, but it's got the greatest song in the history of mankind on it. And I am going to make that statement right here, right now. Supper's Ready is the greatest thing anyone's ever recorded, ever. At number 3, this was the one that got the absolute most votes. 18 of you all actually voted for this one. I think you know what I'm talking about. It was recommended by, you ready? The great Scott Medina. Yeah, big shocker there. Jeff Shilka, one of my newer subscribers. I got him from Jim Newstead. Thank you, Jeff. Dwayne Reed, Nearing K. Felton McIntyre. Hey, wait a second. I think I said his name already. Jose Maria Ramu, Branda Carlison, Jerry Barber, Tepig the Gamer, Emily Athy, A.W. Rogers, Thomas Weary, Jesus Ariel Gonzalez, Loseth, the great Glenn Calloway, Paul Welsh, Pulsar 861, and James Sherman. All recommended Close to the Edge. Yeah, I got it at number 3. There are 2 albums that I prefer. You guys know what they are. But yeah, anybody that wants to tell me Close to the Edge is the greatest album of all time, yeah, it is. It really is. But my personal favorite is a little bit different when you talk about objective versus subjective type of stuff. At number 2, you guys know me. You know it's The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and it's brought to you by Ken Borody, Riemann Holabur, Vinyl Verse, Paul Phillips, Chris Kozak, and the great Wizardo Fox, one of my very first subscribers. Thank you for participating, Wizardo. The Lamb is just brilliant. I love everything about it. It's expansive. It's a double album, so it gives the guys plenty of room to do a little more experimentation. Genesis was always such a song-driven band that hearing them stretch their legs a little bit is just a lot of fun. Plus, Genesis is one of the most archetypal British bands ever, so it was really fun hearing them take on the persona, Peter Gabriel in particular, of a New York street tough. Just such a great juxtaposition of the English background and the American storytelling. It's just pure genius. I love it. I, like Phil Collins, have never read the Gatefold story. I tried a couple times. It's just too much. Anyway, you guys, if you know me, if you follow this channel, you know exactly what number 1 is. Jim Whitman, Hans Forsman, Everts, Inge Valgerson, Private Channel, Banktop, Dan Gustafson, Gustafun, and Terry Johnson, and me. I'll say it's Tales from Topographic Oceans, the greatest album of all time. In my opinion, it is my favorite album. I just love what Yes did here. I did an episode about Tales not too long ago, so if you want my in-depth thoughts about that great record, go find that. But I'm going to link all these videos up into one playlist so you can watch them all in one place. But I just wanted to go over a couple things again that just shocked me. Another one I realized as we were doing this video that nobody had nominated was a Farewell to Kings. So that goes along with a Passion Play, Wish You Were Here, Songs from the Wood, Trilogy, Lark's Tongues and Aspect, The Road of Bones, From Silence to Somewhere, Dwellers of the Deep, the first ELP, Styx the Grand Illusion, and Gentle Giant in a Glass House. Those are the major omissions for me. But this was great. I really enjoyed this. I know I probably missed a couple people. I wanted to shout everybody out. I wanted to give everybody credit for their submissions. I think we're going to do this again, but maybe next time I'm going to ask you to name one obscure prog rock album that you're in love with, that you think I've never heard before, because there were actually 5 out of the 105 that were submitted that I had never heard before, and I listened to them, and I was really, really impressed with all 5 of them, particularly North Atlantic Ocsillation and Umphree's McGee, but I would like some more education, please. So yeah, we're going to do that next, I think. I'll probably be doing a album review for the new Tangent album next week also. But anyway, this has been great. I love you guys. Y'all have a great week. Have a great weekend. And I will see you next week. Peace.